first PDCA was to balance the line to see what could happen, right? We got some data here. We saw the defect rate kind of went up a little bit there, and we had a fluctuation came down. Remember when Ben and I were talking about what would be a good goal? He said plus 100%, minus 50. Well, I kind of sensed that maybe that was a little too aggressive, so I brought him back to, actually he said 50-50, and I said let's go with 100 and minus 50. So anyway, so the next piece that's really important, we spent a lot of time already on the improvement kata. It's almost like ad nauseum, but it's important, isn't it? Because if we don't kind of get that current condition and go through that routine, then what follows is coaching kata doesn't really flow like we'd like it to. So you saw that first iteration where we used the 5-question card to go through the script. So we're going to now talk about the coaching kata piece, okay? So here's the progression, right? We've gone through, we did a PDCA, so we're here. Now we're going to talk about how do we conduct these coaching cycles. What's the number one issue that we heard about all week? It's the sustainability thing, right? Big issue, isn't it? How do we keep all this stuff going? And what we're trying to do is teach the improvement kata through coach practice. If we don't coach, it ain't going to happen, right? And as leaders, as coaches responsible for this is what we have to do. So if you kind of look at what it looks like in terms of coaching to a challenge, we begin with, we got the process owners, these are the value adders, these are the men and women who make it possible for us to earn a living, right? They're the ones who do the work. It's because of them that we have and enjoy our quality of life. So they're the heroes for it. So we're trying to create a process that serves them. So this process operator becomes a learner to the B. We're kind of going up the chain here. B becomes a coach. He's the process supervisor. So they have this relationship here. He then, or she becomes a learner to the C person. And we just kind of go up this scale, if we will. So we've got coaching at the value stream level, we've got coaching at the value stream loops, and then we have coaches at the process level. Here we are at the high level, the organization, the strategic level. We drop down to the value stream, the loop, and then we're down at the value add process level. So again, it's a progression. I don't come in, I don't show up as that second coach. I need to go to this portal, I need to learn, right? We have to be humble enough, willing enough to do our due diligence. So that's what this is representing here. Again, we've seen the card, you saw how we utilized it. The next time we use it, I'll flip it over. We'll ask those questions about what did you learn from this last iteration here. But we want to do these things every day. Can you say daily?
Daily.
Daily.
We laugh about it, but again, if we drift off and say, maybe twice a week or once a month, we've lost, right? We want to do it every day until we get into that and that habit. The first coaching cycle of the day should be done early. That gives the learner and his or her team a chance to do that next PDCA. Coaching cycles, again, they should only take 10 to 20 minutes. If they're taking more, then we're doing something wrong. Just call for the question and get on with it. If you look at leader standard work or you look at our day at a glance, these are sacred times. We're going to be there, right? There's certain things we have to do during the day. If we don't have a scripted day, we can be relegated to firefighting, right? And that's what we're trying to get away from. We're trying to break that insanity. So after that morning cycle, the coach and learner, they might want to do more. But the learner's PDCA cycles should then be done as quickly as possible. Again, a little every day, getting into that pattern. Beyond that coaching cycle, you might decide to go with the learner to the do part. Let's just go see how we can be part of that. So again, here's what we have at the kata board. Real simple. Those of you who have visual boards, you can go there to talk. This is no different than that. What do we got? We have 3 players. We've got the board. We're going to go. The learner fills out the PDCA cycles record. That's this right here. We just did that over there. He or she is responsible for that. They're responsible for the current condition and target condition. The coach asks the questions using the card, right? And the second coach, who may or may not be present, his or her job is to make sure that these two are interacting as intended, right? And depending on the dynamic and the comfort level, the coach may feel free to speak to this person while the learner's present, or they may want to go off the side and say, I noticed that when you were asking Joe this question, whatever, all right? So again, it's an iterative process where we begin by being the learner and getting that piece right, and then graduating up to the coach, getting that part right, and then ultimately earning the right to be the second coach. So we go through that progression. Correcting the learner, again, we're going to default back to our own way of thinking and style, and our responsibility as the coach is to ensure that the learner practices that right behavior, that right pattern. We all saw the Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, right? We laugh about that, but we're developing that habit. We're trying to rewire the way we think, understand, and believe. It's not about policing. It's not this kind of a thing. It's about teaming and coaching together. Okay? Teaching the learner how to play that continues to prove a game. And it is a game, and what a wonderful game that has a wonderful outcome and a wonderful meaning. Another great visual to me pops out. I love this one. By developing this meta habit, which is nothing more than a way of thinking, okay, we're developing that pattern that we want them to learn and that we have to teach. We have the current condition, the target condition, and here are the obstacles. So if you kind of look at this from an upper level here, the content and the obstacles that the learner works on, they're situational. They're going to vary. However, the coaching cycles of the 5 questions, that pattern of thinking and acting, that stays the same. Okay? Get it? We get comfortable with it, and then after we've got it, we can back off and use our own inimicable style. But we need to learn it first. The improvement kata provides the form, the gemba, provides the content. We want this 1, 2, 3 pattern. Try to understand, be mindful of where that learner is, he or she beyond his or her capability. We want to coach by using this observing and this questioning mode, non-threatening, very supportive. We need to know what that desired pattern is that we're looking for so that we can keep them in that, what we call the corridor of learning. It's our job to kind of keep them on track. Don't let them get into the hinterland or off into the never land. Make course adjustments if necessary. Here you got a person that's teaching the child how to play the violin. You know, if they're doing it all wrong, stop and correct them. It's okay. Does practice make perfect, or does practice make permanent? You know, in the old days, we used to say, well, we'll let Caesar go over there and let him make mistakes. He'll learn eventually. He might tear up the equipment and all that. But, you know, no. First time we see Caesar doing something wrong, we want to make a correction so that he gets it right the first time. Okay? So expect and allow the learner to make small mistakes. These are important moments. You bond. You get that trust factor going, and you learn how to correctly apply that improvement kata. We not only want to affect good results, but we want to teach this process. And it's only by trial and error and having these little failures along the line that we learn. Stop and think. Thinking pattern, what do we want to see? Be mindful of what you expect to see. When you go on your gimbal walk, you got to have some idea what you're going to see so you know what may be out of whack or whatever. So same deal here. Think about the improvement kata pattern from our own experience of applying it. How does the learner now seem to be thinking? Being intuitive and understanding. Ask these open-ended questions, and most important, listen. Right? If you have to make a course, if a course adjustment is necessary, what improvement behavior pattern do we want that learner to practice? Okay? Be mindful of that, and then instruct at that particular point. One step at a time. Right? One step at a time. Be patient. Go slow to grow fast. We only want them, to take one step at a time. And so don't overload them. Be mindful of where they are in their capability. And be mindful again that tomorrow's another day. The next coaching cycle is coming right up. Right. So again, if you kind of look at the PDCA cycle, we look at it from the target condition, what are we striving to achieve, what's the current condition, what's the obstacle, what's the next step. We begin to reflect after we've done. We turn that card over to see what that is. That leads us then to an experiment that we're going to go out and test, and we turn right around and do the same thing. We do this iteratively until we reach our target condition. We've seen this before. Threshold of knowledge, uncertainty zone. We've got to go through it in order to get to our target condition. Don't be afraid of it. One step at a time. Hold hands together. Be mindful of what we're doing and do it scientifically. Things funnel down, right? What are we trying to do? We're trying to take all this and really drive it down to what's the next most appropriate experiment. So if we start with the framing questions, 1 and 2, what's the target condition and what is it now? That kind of sets the stage, calls for the question. Now we kind of look at focusing in a little bit deeper and reflecting. Always come back to flipping the card over, being mindful of what just happened yesterday. Bring all that together That then helps us to decide what's that next experiment, what shall we do? And then and I love this, when can we go and see what we've learned? It's not when can we go and see that you have done what you said you're going to do. That's what this is about. Again, an experiment is in fact a learning experience, and it doesn't necessarily involve making a change. Sometimes further analysis, or let's just go see how it operates. That's okay, that's the PDCA cycle. Again, we know all about asking why. You ever ask why 5 times, right? In a good, wholesome environment and ask the right way, it can be okay, but sometimes it can be a little threatening, right? So, anybody had a good experience or bad experience with that?
Yes.
Good experience, don't ask why. Okay. So instead of asking why, we kind of asked, think of it as the 5 experiments rather than the 5 whys.
Ask why not.
Yeah, Bill. Thank you. Huh?
Ask why not.
Ask why not. Right. So again, here's the questions. Again, we see the card. Just be mindful of how they populate the structure here. Target condition, run charts. This is how you connect the card with the various forms. Okay. These are all the ones that are important to us. Again, we've seen this. Everything reads from left to right. Very important form, this run chart, PDCA cycle record. It is the record of choice. Anybody who's interested in what's going on can walk right up to that board, walk by, and kind of see how things are going. Okay? The information on these cycles records is written by the learner before the coach shows up. Again, there's no need to be afraid. And to say, I don't know, or we're not sure, that's great, because that's where we want to go. We want to go to that spot. All right, went through it real quick, but y'all get it?
Who wants to volunteer to be a learner real quick? Either you a coach.
Come on, Robert.
Got some good data over here. This team's got some good charts. Good explanation.
Need a learner. Not everybody can be a learner. Very highly prestigious. Lou, come on up.
Yeah, so all you have to do is just be willing to listen to these questions. And Lou, when Lou responds, what's he going to do? He's going to point to what's written. He doesn't have to make anything up. So.
Brandon's going to go through it. Brandon is going to do the cards, going to do the questions out there. And like Bill said, sometimes it seems insanely repetitive, and it is repetitive, but you're going back, you're practicing. You know, same thing like Bill showed Karate Kid, practice, and it becomes that habit, it becomes that second nature. You begin to follow the improvement column.
Right after this, then, the man introduce our gentleman that's standing back is Bill Hayes. He's the quality director with Lazy Boy. We are extremely proud to be part of his team and what he has done, and his willingness to come here and share with us what he and his team has done. So we're very pleased and very proud of what they've accomplished, and appreciate Bill and his team members for being here. So. If you need a Lazy Boy chair, just put the truck out that way. Not first.
Now, Kia's given a 3% discount on a new Kia.
I think we're ready.
All right, so we're going to go to the board. Brandon is there. Lou has already prepared the board. He knows Brandon is coming, so.
Hey Lou, how's it going?
Hey, good morning. What's up, Brandon?
Oh, pretty good, very good. Tell us about the Kata process you're working on here.
I don't know.
Tell me what your target condition is.
I'm not sure. We want to get to target conditions at 12-second takt time with the planned takt time at 10.2. We want to work on 1 shift, 1 piece flow, 6 operators on the line. We want to improve our fluctuation and variation down to plus 100%, negative 50%. Observations right now, where we want to be, good parts presentation, point of use, balanced line at all stations. So we may want to make some changes. We want to move, we want to improve 2,600 pieces per day, and we still want no overtime.
And what's your actual condition right now?
Actual condition right now. Is, we're still working on one piece flow. We've got, we have 6 pieces of whip in front of our red station. Fluctuation is plus 341% and minus 60%, still a lot of variation. Our diodes are well organized in the parts bin, but the LEDs will lay out really, really well. And last run we made 2,400, but we had to work a couple hours overtime. Okay.
All right, and what was the last step that we took?
Oh, last step. We created some new templates. We rebalanced the line.
Okay, what did you expect would happen when you did that?
We expected the exit of the process, the variation to decrease 150%. We expected our output to increase up to 2,600, and we expect the quality to improve to 95% faster yield.
What actually happened when we put those in place?
Well, our variation increased to 341%, which isn't what we expected. It's worse. It went from 341 to negative 60%. Our output didn't quite meet our target. It was only 2,400, and we actually had a few more defects, went down to 90% yield.
Well, what did we learn from doing that step?
Well, we experienced some defects. The polarity of some of the parts was reversed, and some of the parts were popping out of the springs. We had a decrease in our first time through the first pass yield.
From 95, goal of 95, we were actually at what, 100 I think last time?
Yeah.
And we're down to 90% now.
Okay. So we made some changes, but we had a few more defects.
So what obstacles do you think are preventing you from reaching this target condition that we've laid out here?
Looking at our data, where we had the 2 longest spikes, those are related to the defects.
Okay.
That we noted in polarity and the parts popping out.
Is that the one thing you want to work on next? Or what step do you want to take next?
I think what we want to do next is we want to dig a little deeper into the defects, go see what's causing them, and maybe think about some type of hokey-dokey or error prevention to prevent those from happening.
And what do you expect is going to happen if you do that?
We expect the process to improve, that the fluctuation will go down, we'll have tighter performance. We expect the output to go up to meet our target of 2,600. And we expect our first time through or yield to go up to 95%.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good plan. Always error-proofing things and going and seeing what's causing the defect. That sounds like a good place to step next. So when can we go and see what we learned from taking that step?
About this time tomorrow morning.
This time tomorrow morning? All right, I'll be back there tomorrow morning. Let's see what we've done, what we learned.
Thank you.
Thunderous applause.
So that's how it's done. Anybody else want to volunteer to experience that coaching process or learner process?
What did you observe? Did you feel like if you were standing where Lou was, did you feel uncomfortable? Did it feel a little silly maybe?
How'd you feel, Lou?
I felt a little goofy at first, but then got in the flow. Felt okay.
Coach comment?
Sure. Second coach comment here.
So one of the things that I like to focus on when we're doing the coaching, I'll mention it again probably in a minute, but is what did you learn? That's probably to me the most important question in the whole series, right? Very often the learners are going to respond with an outcome, with the result, what we observe. You observe more defects and so forth. So what I would advise as the first coach is that is to probe that a little bit more, saying, okay, well, you know, did you, and the question I like to use is, did you identify any new obstacles? Because very often in that step, what did you learn? What you're looking for is, did I identify any new obstacles, which I then need to attack? And so there may be some obstacles. So you might even say, well, with what you observed there, did that suggest any new obstacles or any other, you know, what you really learned? But that's one question I like to focus on when we're doing the coaching, when we're doing the second coaching. So just
So I guess in the interest of time, let's flip Bill to
Yeah,
Jason.
do you have a
Any other
question?
questions?
Just more an observation as, you know, just in a continuous improvement journey. This is the single biggest roadblock I see is when you try something and the results go the wrong way and everybody was fired up on the team and it can just crush morale. So having the structure in place to positively move forward and having upper management support that sometimes is going to go the wrong way.
Exactly. Your leaders, your CEOs, your key management people, Bill probably will talk about, need to go through and experience this. Bill's not a second coach by not having gone through the learner process and the first coach process. So once they've gone through this, they've got a better understanding of understanding that there are going to be some steps taken that actually are a step backwards. But there's, like he said, a learning that occurred. And as long as there's a learning that occurred, and you don't keep making the same mistakes over and over again and performance keeps declining, I think once you've been through this process, you're okay with that, right, Bill?
absolutely. Yeah, it's a very messy process, and usually new learners run into all kinds of issues, and they don't get it right. And, you know, I always tell them that's okay. That's really what it is, because if you do everything perfectly, you don't learn. I mean, we really only learn from those obstacles we run into, and we change, you know, change our patterns. I'm the quality director at Lazy Boy up in Dayton, Tennessee. Just a brief introduction. We've got 4 production operations there, 2 assembly plants for 1 chairs, 1 sofas, and a couple of supply centers. We've got a stamping center for the metal for the mechs, and we cut all the hardwood for all the frames for the company up there. We have about 1,400 employees and about 1.2 million square feet under roof on about 60 acres. So, you know, it's a pretty good sized operation. So part of the challenge I face is how do we deploy that and roll that out, and as a quality guy, I want to control everything. Now, have any of you read the book, the Kata book? Those of you have, and if you do, there's a picture in there that I couldn't get for this, of a guy pushing a big